So here's my microscope. I've calibrated it. I have the stage all the way up. I actually have a slide in here that I was already looking at. So it's a prepared slide. It's of some compost that I have. I have all of these little packets that I've labeled with different sources. This is compost. This is compost from the soil from the base of a moringa tree. This one is from the worm bin. This is from somebody's specific worm bin. And this is soil beneath the pots. This is a mushroom beneath the moringa tree. And this is soil on top of black plastic that was covering a certain area. So I have all these labeled. I have all of my sample tubes. This is where this is one of the ones I use. It's a baby or child's medicine. You can put medicine there for a child. It's measured here, but I can use that to make my sample. So I'm filling the very bottom of this with soil, this 1 milliliter, and then 5 milliliters of water. And then I'm shaking that and agitating that 30 seconds, right? 30 seconds, a little bit more, it's okay too. And then I'm taking a pipette, or you can use a dropper, and I'm taking 1 drop of that and putting that on my slide. And that's what we're looking at. And that's what we have seen in those slides that we've looked at, 1 drop. So now you have a compost pile that's a cubic yard. You're taking these little bits of samples, you're making your microscope sample, and then you're taking 1 drop of that. Sometimes if there's a lot of aggregate in that sample, you have to dilute it again. And so you have to make note, because when you are doing a count, you're going to, if you took 1 milliliter from that now 6 milliliter tube, then you're going to dilute it again by 5 or by 10. You have to keep track, because that's going to give you, you're going to use that for making your end count. So this is all, as you get into it. But I have all my supplies right here. I have my water for rinsing. I have my slides. This is this little slide, my slide covers. All of this is right here available to what I'm doing. And so when I'm looking at that, first you start with the smallest lens, and you're adjusting, right, the diaphragm, and so there's a lot of adjustments, and you get used to it over time. But it's just an amazing experience, and I highly recommend it. I love it. I just love seeing what's in there. And you have to know that when you start to see things in there, you start to see anaerobic bacteria, for example, rotifers, insect larvae, which we have seen in some of our slides. That means that you want to do some troubleshooting for that. It's not toss the whole thing. You want to start knowing that you can add fungi food to that. You want predators to those to start inhabiting that pile. Sometimes if it's very anaerobic, you have a lot of ciliates, that's a condition of, you have a lot of them. Now, you're not going to kill anything out. You're not going to just spray that with something. What you need to do is spread that out, put more anaerobic foods in there, so that the anaerobic population will increase, so that the aerobic population will increase, so the anaerobic population will decrease, and you're changing the habitat so anaerobic bacteria cannot live there. So these are the measures that you want to take, and that's why it's important to be able to see what's happening in your soil. Now, this is a cumbersome thing. It's hard to take this to the field, right? But it happens to be an easy tool that I just found out about, and I ordered it because I thought, what an amazing thing this is. And so you could find it, it's less expensive. This is about $400 microscope, and on here I can also put a camera. So I have the ability to put a camera here, and from that camera I can connect it with a cable onto there's a cable placed on the top into my computer, and I can email images, I can show images on a projector on a wall, which we've done in classroom situations. But when I was sending samples to Dr. Ingham to see this is what is in my compost, she sees that picture, and if there's some question I have, I can be online with her and she can be looking at that. So that's just if you know, for a classroom situation, or if you're really in the study of it. But now, these days, you can get this really handy little microscope that you can put on your cell phone. I couldn't believe it at first. I just thought, I have to, I have to see it to believe it, but it is true. Technology has impressed me. So it has this little lens, and it has these little sticky things, and you turn your flashlight on your phone, and you have to download an app, of course, because it works with an app. And this one, and then you glue it to your phone lens of your camera. And now you can take this, you can have this out in the field, and you can be looking at, now I believe this one goes to 1000 X. So much more than you need for microorganisms. You only need 400. So this is very handy. You can make a slide. I mean, this thing comes with a little slide so that you can hold this right up to this little, this is like a pre-made slide, so you can look at it. But you can make up a slide, and you can put this right over that slide, and you can look at what's in that slide. It's amazing, right? So just so you know that there are some amazing tools out there. It's pretty inexpensive. I believe this one was like $45 or $50, where this one was, just for the microscope was between $400 and $500. And this you take out to the field with your little, handy little tin with slides and slide covers, and your little water, your pipettes, and right there you're good to go. You can look at it right on the farm. I was really surprised, but also very impressed that somebody is figuring this out. And you can get them for less expensive than this for, I just got one that I thought could have more magnification in case I needed it, but you don't need it for what we're doing with the soil biology. So just wanted to share that. It's quite amazing. It does, you want to make sure, since you're on a farm, that you want to take along the lens cleaner to make sure that your camera lens and the lens of this little microscope keep dust free, because otherwise you're just going to see a lot of disturbance in your slide from that. So quite an amazing thing. And we did show in the ambassador level the bricks refractometer, and I just want to remind everybody of that, because this particular one was about $69 maybe, and I have several. Like we keep several. We have 3. They're pretty much the same, a little bit different and different company, but you can even get them as low as $29. I've seen them, and all you're doing now with this one, I get it from it's called Bionutrient Association, and they have created this very handy and useful tool, which is a vice grip that you can then put the moringa leaf inside this little slot here and clamp that down, because moringa has so little bit of it has such a small amount of water that it's hard to get water out of that. So they have created this little vice grip tool, and it makes it possible to get a drop of moringa juice out of that leaf. And it doesn't give nutrient levels and things like that. What it does do is it gives you sugar level of the leaf, and that's an indication of nutrition. And you can check it on their website if you buy it from them, and there are charts out there, and we'll have it as our resource where you can look at a lot of different fruits and vegetables that they've measured, you know, fair, good, and very good. And you can see just an indication. So without having more technology than that, and the ability to just have a baseline piece of information that you can take right out in the field, that's, you know, comes in a pretty sturdy carrying case, all of them. Also, you want to make sure that I always have my the lens cleaner, and what you're doing is putting that little drop right onto here. So it's a little platform, and then this lays right on top of there, gets all the air bubbles out. And then you look through that scope, and it's going to show you, you know, it kind of looks like a ruler, but it's giving you levels. And it shows in a blue line, or a bottom blue part will be blue, because this is blue. And then it shows the levels, it's measuring that. And this is a tool that's been used, it's a very low-tech tool, it's been used in the wine, I believe beer industry as well. In wine, they want to test the sugars. And so it's a refractometer, and we'll have the detail about how it actually works. It refracts light through that liquid, and that's one of they've tested it just for decades. We've used this, so it's a very reliable little piece of little tool. And those, I mean, if you get your own, you know, I mean, without being the Bionutrient Association, they are pretty inexpensive. Theirs is more expensive because you get the vice grip, which I think is, I mean, when you start trying to take water out of a moringa leaf, you're going to want to have, I mean, you can make it yourself too. If you're handy and you can weld, but getting that drop out of there is challenging. But you can use it for all other foods that you are producing. So not just with moringa, but if you're doing a co-crop, you know, intercropping, or you want to know how your fruit trees are doing and the quality of the sugars in the fruit, it's a really good baseline piece of information. So these are tools that I wanted to show. Some of them are more complicated, take more training, but it's amazing as well. And others, you know, this little small one, I just think it's so clever. And as time goes by, you know, we'll have more and more technology that helps us out on the field. At some point, we'll be able to do some more imaging of these things, but there's some resources, good resources on the internet. You just have to really know what you're looking for. You have to go through them, because a lot of them are not soil biology ones, the soil microorganisms. So those are a little bit harder to find. But it's just an incredible world down there when you realize all of this is under our feet all the time, working, eating each other, making all that nutrient cycling, having all that waste material that's the nutrient for the plants, and that's happening all day long, day and night. And that's doing our work if we employ them, literally, I guess, to help us in this work of creating that soil biology. That is what it's designed to do. We're designed to have this soil biology so that we have the nutrient cycling, so that we have the nutrients in our food. And that's how we have the highest amount of nutrition. And moringa is when that nutrient cycling is there, and all that activity is going on and helping us get there. We just have to help it. We have to create that container for it. We have to do the work and create those compost piles, those hot compost, the thermophilic, making compost tea, vermiculture tea, all of that, and continue to give that food and create that environment for them to thrive, and they will do the work. that we need in order to be healthy ourselves.